So essentially, you're taking a flight to all these different places in 5.5 minutes. With her, there's also a bit of a language barrier. So I need to overcome that too. If you do a verse in your mother tongue and do all the hooks in English.
Hey, welcome back. This is our part 3 with engineer Samarth Dwahan. If you've missed parts 1 and 2, check the description for the links. Let's get to it.
So was there any project that, let's say, they asked you to mix but cater for a certain market, even though it originated from, let's say, I don't know, India or let's say in Europe, right? But let's say they want to target to, let's say, American listener.
Yeah.
So have you
Absolutely.
worked those kind of?
Yeah, absolutely. Like a lot of like some of I did like maybe 2 Indian songs. They're both in my mother tongue, Hindi.
Okay.
But they wanted to market it for people over here. So it's like, okay, in those situations, I'm just like, if the vocalist is speaking in the language of the country, then it makes things a lot more easier, because that's my familiar point.
Right.
Is okay, they understand what he or she's trying to say through the lyrics.
Right.
But then it's like, if I'm trying to cater that to an American audience, then yeah, I'm putting my snares a certain level, I'm putting my kicks a certain level, my basses are harder than they would be. The vocals are more tucked in. Like in some of the older Indian stuff, it was, the vocals were like probably 5 dB louder than anything else, because they wanted to make sure you heard the vocal. Like, just hammer that in. Even if you don't hear the guitar at the back, which is playing a really cool part. So, but if I'm catering that to an American audience, then yeah, I would
Dial it
back and bring up the instruments up a little bit. So it's just finding that right balance. And for example, like I recently did a song for a girl who's in Switzerland. But she lives there. She's from Morocco originally, and she likes Led Zeppelin. So, and Lenny Kravitz and all those people. So my approach, yes, those mixes take a lot more work, because then you're like, then you're going section to section, essentially. So for that, like the whole intro of that song is Moroccan, like, with their traditional instruments. But then when we actually get into the song, it's a very Led Zeppelin rock and roll kind of a thing. But then again, when we get into the verses, it goes into like 100% R&B. Coming out, goes back into the chorus with, like, now she has a horn section in there. And then when we go, and the bridge is essentially a rap part. So
it's all these different
it's all these different things. But yes, that song is a little out of the blue kind of a session that I get. But those are really challenging. She puts me to my limit, which I like. And it's like, no, the intro has to feel Moroccan. It can't feel anything else but Moroccan. So essentially, you're taking a flight to all these different places in 5.5 minutes. So, and a lot of that comes down to transitions. How you're going into the R&B section. How are you coming out of the rock section and going into the rap part? Stuff like that. So, yeah, it's just a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun too. Yeah.
We have
exciting.
some similar experience with
transporting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it can really just be annoying when you're like, yeah, the parts aren't there to make that kind of thing happen. Like, the song is not made that way, but they want it that way.
Right.
Then that's where the disconnect is, where I'm just like, we can't really do that because the song is not doing that. So I can't just magically make that happen. because the song is not telling me to do that.
It doesn't have the transitions. Yeah.
Exactly, it doesn't have the right elements to make it feel like that, or even the right chords or the right arrangement
Rhythms.
or rhythms and all of that. Yeah, so it's just a challenge, but luckily this one is well done. It's just I just gotta work hard for it. So that's no complaints.
Challenges are good.
Yeah, challenges are great. I love. Yeah, it's just I love when people push me, and especially artists without and like with her. There's also a bit of a language barrier, so I need to overcome that too. At the same time, when I'm dealing with her, so there are just a lot of things that make me a better mixer. So I'm like, cool, I'll do your project.
We are especially excited to have you here at the Nest Studio, especially when we talk about the whole global collaboration, because the Nest Studio vision is to bridge the gap between Vietnamese artists to the mainstream. We work with a lot of artists, and Vietnamese have a young population,
Right.
and that's where I see they get a lot of influence. Looking at the Vietnamese music roadmap, we see that they get a lot of influence through K-pop, through Thai pop music, Thailand,
R&B.
R&B from the U.S., and of course, the classic rock, etc. But they always have a lot of challenge that they want to bring their own music, both lyrically to authentic instruments, but be able to interpret that into mainstream. For example, like just a zinger that I can think of, or there's a lot of other instruments.
Oh, the zither.
Oh, the zither.
Zither.
Oh my god, my bad. That was a zinger. But anyway,
That's a KFC burger.
yeah. But yeah, so that is something that. What do you think of the best way to approach that to bridge when it comes to your experience working with artists over the.
So I think there are many ways you can do that. It's just about how innovative do you want to get with it. So, for example, you can have a Vietnamese artist with um, any mainstream R&B producer in the U.S., right? And even if the artist is singing in English, if you sample an old Vietnamese song and use that as the foundation of the beat, it's still integrating old Vietnamese culture and modern R&B, so to say. So that's just as one example of how I can maybe do that. You know, the challenge here gets where, and I face this all the time with Indian artists. It's like if you're speaking in your mother tongue, then the population in the US to understand that mother tongue is a lot less than it is in your home country. That's why it's harder to get in the mainstream here. However, if you do a verse in your mother tongue and do all the hooks in English,
Okay.
I see that a lot in
K-pop.
in K-pop,
Spanish too. Like
in Spanish, if you do that, now you're and so now what will happen essentially is the the promotion that'll be done for the record will be marketed the hooks will be marketed to the US, but the verses will be marketed to Vietnam, for example.
Mm.
So that's another way to do it. Or it's like I mean Timbaland does this a lot. Like he would sample old Indian music and put a rapper on it.
Right.
Yes, it's not. I can't call that. It's a rap song. It's a hip hop beat, you know. But it just has elements that are authentic to Indian culture. Or that's where like sampling comes into play, or like you guys were mentioning earlier with the blues song that you guys did, um, with the traditional Vietnamese instrument. So having stuff like that to just anchor yourself into one world. So for example, like if we let's say sample an old Vietnamese, a traditional folk Vietnamese song, right? And we put a rapper on it, right? The anchor of the song, and we build the beat around the sample. It's still anchored in Vietnam. Sure, we're taking it and putting it out here, but the anchor of the whole song, the foundation of the whole song, is
There's the loop.
a old Vietnamese song. So that's just one of the few ways you can do it. I mean, those two are kind of the ones that I can think of top of my head. But it's like, how innovative are you willing to get to bridge that gap? Because there are numerous ways you can do it. It's just what works for your brand and for who you are as an artist. Like if you're from Vietnam and you grew up listening to Whitney Houston, then it might, you know, then that's what you grew up on. But then if you sing a Vietnamese song like how Whitney Houston would, I don't know what that would be, but I'm excited to see, you know. So I just feel like there are plenty of ways to bridge the gap, and it's really just about meeting the right people who are willing to go down a rabbit hole, and
Be
maybe it
open
doesn't
enough
work. Yeah,
to try things.
exactly.
Right,
And yeah, and it's all just about experimentation, and it's okay if you don't finish the song in a week. It's okay. Like, take a month, take two, take a year. How does it matter? But make sure that whoever the artist is, they're feeling good about what they're putting out into the world. And whether they're from India, from Vietnam, Japan, Korea, like, all of that kind of becomes irrelevant, because music at the end of the day is what unites a lot of what we do. Like, I mean, the three of us here are not all from the same place. So, but the only reason we're here because we like to talk about music.
The uniter for sure.
Yeah. So it's like, just I feel like just more connections, and people just need to listen to more music from wherever they want to be.
If we make a song and the three of us we like it, that speaks volume right there.
Absolutely. If three people like it, maybe two more people will like it.
Yeah.
Maybe one. Exactly. And we don't control that, unfortunately. As much as I want to, I don't. It's like, if I like it, then yeah, I hope somebody else does too. But that's out of my control. I can't
force someone to like something.
Exactly, and I can't shove it down their throats. Now, um, when it comes to going into the mainstream, there are many ways now. Even with social media, you can do that. Like, I see a lot of, like, um, just random stuff, but they would have an old Indian song playing behind it. Then everyone's listening to that song because they heard it on a TikTok reel. You know, but that's and people do that here. So there are just plenty of ways to bridge that gap. It's just, how much of that gap are you willing to fill at the end of the day? Do you want to fill all of it? Great. We can do that. Do you want to fill halfway and you kind of want to stay true to your culture? We can fill it halfway.
There's a whole spectrum of how far you want to go.
Exactly. And it all comes down to experimentation. How willing you are to try new things. And yeah, like, bring in, let's say if you're doing an R&B song,
bring in a honky tonk piano.
Sure, why not? And or just bring all the people playing the instruments from Vietnam. Naturally, the way they play would bring that influence in.
Right.
So, it's just stuff like that. Like, if I'm making a reggae song, I'm bringing a bass player from Jamaica, whether they like it or not. Like, because I know that's the one instrument that makes that holds the groove in that genre, you know. So there are just multiple ways of doing it. It's just keep trying new things and don't be afraid to go back.
If it works, it works. If not, then try something else.
Yeah, and because then what will happen is you'll probably use it in another song because it probably fits somewhere, just not in this one, which is okay. So, yeah.
And then kind of unrelated, but just one last question.
Mhm.
What do you feel, you know, now that songs are getting shorter and shorter? We talked about this a little earlier in the day, but
Yeah.
songs getting shorter and shorter where you've been in situations where you recommended even an artist just taking out a verse because they've already said
Yeah.
what you felt they needed to say.
Exactly.
What's your take on that? Where now we're seeing songs like, you know, Old Town Road, I believe, was 1:40, and a lot of the songs that are making are like 2 minutes and something, whereas it just
Right.
keeps getting shorter. Do you think it's going to get to a point where it's like, okay, we have a verse and a chorus and now we're done?
That's hard to say. If like we just have a verse and a chorus and we're done, kind of a vibe.
Because there's not really much room to grow there.
Yeah, because then you're just making content.
Mm.
I wouldn't call that
A song.
a song. That's just for your Instagram reel.
Mm.
Yeah, that's just part of the content. But now with it's just it varies. Like I know one of my favorite bands, Porcupine Tree.
I love them.
Yeah, they can put out a 7 minute long song today, and I would not mind.
Oh yeah, I love the longer songs. As long as they're, you know, as long as they're keeping it interesting. It
Exactly.
can be as long as it needs to.
Exactly. But then you have to kind of mentally prepare yourself that it might not go number one.
Mm.
Or it might. Who knows? But the chances are less.
With people's attention span
With
now.
people's attention span, and once we in a 7 minute long song, once we're halfway through the mark, it's like, okay, now what?
Mm.
You know, kind of a thing. Like, but if you can have like Porcupine Tree does this very well. Like they will hold you for 7 minutes.
Mm.
So I feel like
Steve Wilson's a great songwriter.
absolutely, and then you got Gavin Harrison in there holding the drums down, and it's like you just have people who know how to keep other people's attention.
I feel the same way about like Tool as well.
100%, 100%. Like all those bands know how to keep your attention. So once they know how to do that musically, they can write a 15-minute long song and nobody cares. But then, yeah, sure, if you're just unfortunately talking about
Making a number one hit.
making even that, or if you're just talking about your ass, like a lot of rappers are doing, and you're talking about how big your butt is. It's not. You can't write a 7 minute long song about how big your butt is. You just can't. I mean, please show me if you can. I would like to learn. But and that's why it's like those songs are getting shorter because they have, in my opinion, they have less to say. So if you got more to say, then you can write a 15-minute long song and people will listen. It's just, yeah, sure, it might not go number one, but who cares? So it really depends. And yeah, it just really depends on what you're talking about. More than anything else. Like Old Town Road is only 1:40 because of the hook. It's just a catchy song. And yeah, if you run a catchy loop for 7 minutes, it's not going to be as catchy. You want that replayability to those things. But whereas for one of my favorite songs by Porcupine Tree is Arriving Somewhere But Not Here. That's like a 12-minute long song. But now every time I'm driving, I'm listening to that song. You know, so I feel like there's a place for everything. Yes, because we're on Instagram and TikTok a lot, the attention spans are shorter and they want things catchy rather than like that's the criteria.
Rather than it developing over time and growing and being a
Exactly.
real moving
Exactly.
piece. They just want to grab your attention, hold it, and then as soon as they feel it's dying off, then just cut the song
Yeah,
and
cut the song.
move it on to the next.
Exactly. And unfortunately, a lot of that dictates the charts and some of those kind of things. But it's like if you have a song that really builds and holds people's attention, why not? Like Dave used to tell me this all the time. He's like, man, if I could just have everything, if I could have a new thing come in every 4 bars, that would make a great song.
Mm.
And we tried it, and it was a great song. And in fact, like we had this one song. It was the bridge of that song was 16 bars long, right? According to me, that's a little long for a bridge. And it would they just brought the energy down so much, before going into the last chorus. So we get a call and they're like, hey Dave, just try anything you want on that bridge. We're just like, all right, this is party
Playground.
time now. Like, let's go for it. So what we did was every 2 bars we used to either take something out or put something back in, or like put a reverb throw, or just have something every 2 bars. And that 16 bars went by like this.
Like the outro of Ride.
Yeah. Exactly. That's how I
Yeah.
thought of.
You don't feel that because you don't feel the 16 bars at all. You feel like, oh, whoa, what just happened right now? You know? So it's like, that's why I feel like if you can just hold your audience attention, then, you're kind of home free, no matter how long the song is.
Sam, it's been awesome having you here. Your story is really inspiring, and we love your work. So, thank you again.
Of course, thank you guys for having me.
And of
been a
course,
pleasure.
we'll link your socials, not your social security number, but your social accounts, and playlist of your songs for the audience to hear. And again, we really appreciate you being here.
No, it's my pleasure, and it's great to be here talking to you guys, and the knowledge flows both ways. So thank you for having me, and yeah, let's get to work.
All right, so those of you out there, please like and subscribe. Of course, that's always welcome. If you have any questions, please let us know. We'll see you next time.